Hello and welcome to this edition of Council Corner. I'm Stephanie Snowden, your host, and our guest and the council person who is the woman with the plan is Richland County Councilwoman Val Hutchinson. She represents Richland County Council District 9, and I might add, one of the largest growth areas in the county. During the last census, which was just a couple of years ago when we took the census, how many folks had from 10 years to now, how many folks were added to your district?
We added 20,000 people.
And that's in the Northeast. Give us
That's
an
correct.
idea of what areas you represent.
Okay, my part of the Northeast kind of goes down Two Notch Road to the Kershaw County border. So I've got Wildwood, Woodlands, Wood Creek, the Summit, Lake Carolina, Windermere. So it goes out in a fan toward the Kershaw County line.
Now, I would assume, Ms. Hutchinson, you've been on council since about 2004. I would assume that having such a rapid amount of growth over a short period of time like that has brought unique challenges to your district. If you could kind of describe maybe some of those, because I'm sure the county has to provide infrastructure.
That was probably the issue that got me on council in the first place. We had such explosive growth and we didn't have the infrastructure in place. Our roads were all of a sudden very crowded. The schools were crowded. You know, that trying to handle a great deal of growth in a short period of time is very hard. Now the economy has slowed down, so we've been playing catch up now. But that was what everybody was concerned about, that if you've got a plan for the future, and there seemed to be no plan.
And so essentially development was approved without necessarily thinking about how the roads might be able to actually accommodate. And then fire stations, I know the last statistic that I saw, putting in a new fire station, operating it, not even the bricks and mortar, is about $800,000 a year. So that's a lot if you've got to add 2 and 3 and 4 fire stations.
Yes, and all of those public safety issues, they're expensive, but they're extremely necessary. And public safety is the #1 issue for all the citizens and for all the elected officials. So we do our best, and I think we've done a good job with the fire stations and certainly with the Sheriff's Department. County Council is very supportive of those 2 big issues.
Why should people care about conservation and preservation?
Well, clean water and clean air are essential parts of civilization. We cannot pollute our water and our air as we grow, because we cannot sustain that, and we want to leave a better planet for the next generation. So we started Northeast Conservation and Beautification Committee because all the lakes were filling up with silt, and there was a lot of pollution coming off the highways and into the neighborhood ponds. And we were concerned about the loss of green space. We're developing every square inch. What is happening to our green spaces? So I have got, fortunately, a lot of citizens who really care about those issues and they speak up. So they are helping me, guiding me and setting priorities to keep the county green.
I live in the urban corridor, and so when I've come out to some of the conservation easements, I was surprised at some of the rural character which exists right off of Two Notch Road. So it's unbelievable that you've got some of these just undisturbed and protected lands with little rivers and ducks. And so it just was surprising that this was not the same Two Notch that I had in my head. And I would guess that probably folks who live in the Northeast have no idea that that part of Two Notch exists either.
There are some wonderful farms. The Monroe Farm that we preserved forever. That means so much to the community. I pass by that farm every day of my life, and it makes me smile to see the cows and the ducks out there. And I think we're all that way. And we've preserved a lot of, like 50 acres at a time, green spaces that protect the headwaters of, for instance, the Gills Creek, start out in the Northeast. So if you protect the streams at the beginning and make sure they're unpolluted, then you have a chance of cleaning up the whole watershed, and that was important.
And until I came to work for the county, I didn't understand that it's all interconnected. If we don't do a good job of cleaning our storm water, it's going to wind up in our water bodies, and eventually it could impact us or even take more energy to actually clean the water so that we can drink it, and it could threaten habitat. So there are lots of reasons why developing everything, is not good. And imagine what Richland County would be like in 60 years if children grew up not knowing what a duck looks like because there was no place for them to be. So I kind of, through your efforts and the efforts of county council, really have understood that it's something that we've taken for granted, that it would just be here.
That's right, and we need to make sure it's here for the next generation. And that's, looking down the road is our job as elected officials. We need to look ahead and preserve the environment. We still want to have growth and healthy business, growth, economics, but you can have it all, but you can't have it accidentally. You have to plan for it. You have to provide good stormwater protection. That water comes in, drains off, goes into our rivers. We don't want to have pollution of those waters. That's our drinking water. So there's a lot that goes into it, but that's what makes this job so interesting.
One of the final questions before we wrap up, the county council approved an economic development director for the first time. Why did you think that was important, that the county have its own economic development director?
Well, we're competing as regions now, all across the United States, and we need to have the strongest region and the strongest county, and we want to be business friendly. We don't want to sell our soul for a business, but we want to invite businesses in and find out how we can keep the businesses that are here. We want them to stay because they provide jobs for our people. And that's where prosperity starts, with jobs for our citizens. So I think it was a good use of our funds to have somebody come in and look out for the interests of Richland County in the economic sector.
All right, now we're going to shake off the business part, and this is the wild card section.
Okay.
All right, one of the things about you that the citizens at home and your constituents might not know is that you went and got a graduate degree in your middle years, and you'd raised your children. Your husband had a successful career. You'd been an Army wife,
That's
military,
correct.
Army wife, correct? And then you just kind of said, you know what, I'm not going to kind of sit back. I think of you on council as the steel butterfly, really soft on the outside, very soft demeanor, but you're a tough cookie. When you need to be, you can whip it out. So, and I think that's a fair characterization. But if you could look in the camera and if you were speaking to the folks at home about why it's never too late to go out and make an impact, because I know you had done all of these things, and now you're one of the power brokers in our community and have been able to do some good things. So if someone's sitting at home and they're thinking, I could never do that, I'm too shy, and because you've never done anything like this, so if you could just encourage people of what they can, that they can go out and change their lives in the middle act.
Absolutely, you can. I had no experience at this. It was like a giant leap for me. But this is a great time of life to get involved in politics. We've raised families. We know what the issues are. We can't be bribed. We can't be bullied at this age. I think there's a bit of ninja in every grandmother. And I find it's held me in good stead. There are times when you have to stand up to special interests. You have to know when you're being schmoozed. Your priorities are correct, I feel like, at this age. And I've always believed in lifelong learning, and I think that's why I love this job so much. Is just think you learn about landfills and stormwater and green spaces and economics. What could be more interesting than that? I'm a perennial student, so I love studying things, and I really wish more retired people would go into politics. I think we'd be good for the country, and I feel like we bring a maturity to the issues. We can focus on what's important. We know the questions to ask. So I really wish more of my contemporaries would get involved in politics. I think we could do a lot for democracy. And we remember America before. We remember the good things, and I think we're willing to fight for them. We've lost a lot of our fear of life. So you think, why not? Let's just ask for what this country really needs. So I encourage people to run for office and put themselves out there. I'd be happy to help you. I knew nothing. My husband and I put up my first signs with a post hole digger, and they all blew down the next day. And we went out and put them up again. We're just, you know, he was very helpful to me, and it's not as complicated as you think.
All right, thank you. I don't think I have to say anything else. I think you kind of nailed it, but it's important for people to get involved.
Very.
We've been speaking with Richland County Councilwoman Valerie Hutchinson of Richland County Council District 9. Now, for the very latest information on the happenings of Richland County, be sure to tune into Richland Radio every Friday on WGCV AM 620 from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you. Make it a great week.